Good day and a virtual welcome to the Canada School of Public Service. My name is Nathalie Laviadès-Jourdouin. I'm the Director General for Respectful and Inclusive Workplaces Learning here at the school, and it's my pleasure to be with you today. Cet événement se déroule en anglais, mais l'interprétation simultanée est disponible si vous en avez besoin. Les instructions pour se connecter à l'interprétation simultanée se trouvent dans le courriel de confirmation de l'événement qui vous a été envoyé. Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge that the land by which many of us are viewing this event is the unceded territory of the Anishinaabe Algonquin people. Some of you today may be viewing this from various parts of the country, and I therefore encourage you to take a moment to recognize and acknowledge the territory you're occupying. Before we continue, a reminder that in order to make your viewing experience better, we encourage you to disconnect from the VPN if possible and to reconnect to the event. Now, without further ado, I'm pleased to invite you to today's event, which is the next installment of the school's virtual cafe series entitled Lived Experiences of Black Canadians, and to introduce to you our guests for today. This event kicks off Black History Month to recognize the numerous and significant contributions Black Canadians and Black communities in Canada have made and to continue to make to the growth, well-being, and prosperity of our country. So first of all, I'd like to introduce to you Dory Tunstall. Dory is the Dean of the Faculty of Design at the Ontario College of Art and Design University in Toronto, Canada, and notably the first Black Dean of a Faculty of Design anywhere in the world. Dory, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited about the conversations.
Thank you. And I'd also like to welcome Adrienne Harewood, a journalist and co-host of CBC News Ottawa, who has been a vocal advocate for systemic change at the CBC, particularly on the need for equal representation at the management level and how this benefits the work of the CBC overall. Adrienne, thank you so much for joining us today as well.
Thanks so much for inviting me. Really looking forward to the exchange.
Great. So let's get started. I'd really like to start by asking each of you to take a few minutes to tell us a bit more about yourselves, and in doing so, to really help us understand what has led you to where you are today and to who you are today in terms of taking decisive action in your respective fields when it comes to championing equity, diversity, and inclusion. Dory, maybe I'll start with you.
Great. So just to kind of give a sense of placement, so I'm here in Toronto on the lands of the Haudenosaunee, Anishinaabe, Huron-Wendat, and Mississaugas of the Credit, just acknowledging where I'm located. I'm actually I'm a Black Canadian as of 4 years, meaning I'm originally from the United States. I've been here in Canada for 4 years. I'm very happy to be here in Canada for the last 4 years. And kind of how I got here is I think, as the first Black and Black female dean of a faculty of design anywhere in the world, just realizing that my responsibility to make sure that I might be the first, but I'm not the only. So my real focus is how do I help decolonize design so that more diverse peoples feel that design is a place of belonging. Design is a place of being able to create worlds for and by BIPOC people, so Black, Indigenous, and POC communities see themselves reflected in the world through design, and really inspiring young people, the youth, to take their beautiful, fresh ideas around how the world works and, again, make it real and tangible in the world through design. If you can imagine a cup, you can imagine a city, you can imagine all these possibilities. And so if we're able to help young people feel confident about their ability to impact the world, then design is one of the most important vehicles by which you're able to do that and communicate that and connect that to other people. So I'm really excited about the work we're doing at OCAD University to diversify our faculty so that our students have people that they can look up to diversify our students, and to create a relationship with communities so that the distance between design at OCAD and the designs that they do in their everyday lives are one and the same. There is no difference.
Thank you very much, Dory. Adrian, over to you.
Yeah, well, I should also once again thank you for inviting me. I am here in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada, my hometown, which is located, of course, on Algonquin territory. I am, I guess, first generation Canadian. My parents came to this country from the Caribbean in the 1950s and the 1960s, ostensibly to study. I'm the first of 5 children. I have 4 younger sisters, and that's significant that I have 4 younger sisters. I think I also come from people who have always lived to make change. When I think about my grandparents, my grandfather was an organizer. He was involved in labor unions in Antigua in the early part of the century, 20th century. My grandmother as well was involved with a lot of. She was a feminist before we labeled that, before she had that moniker. But she was someone who was very much involved in trying to encourage women and provide women with support and skills. I've always kind of been inspired by that saying that Toni Morrison, the late Nobel laureate, said that when you have a little bit of power and you are free, then your job is to try to free other people. And I think that my parents and my grandparents have been about that. My parents were educators at the post-secondary level, but they were also journalists. And in the 1970s, they were columnists for the main Black newspaper in this country, a paper called Contrast. And Contrast played a really seminal role, I would say, particularly in the Black community, in that it gave Black people, it provided a space where we could tell our stories, and we could tell our stories without distortion, right? A lot of the ways in which our stories were being told at that time in the mainstream media, the stories were misrepresentations, and they didn't honor our histories. So they were very much involved in that. And I think that when I went to university in 1989, Nelson Mandela was still in jail. Apartheid was still in effect. And I became active in the anti-apartheid movement. And so media was a way in which we could raise consciousness, right? And it was a way in which we could kind of tell different kinds of stories. It was a way in which we could more fully participate, in the society. And so, we got involved in media on campus, and I was kind of part of that. So I guess I've always seen media as being providing a platform for us to impose ourselves on the world and to take space and to demonstrate and to kind of reaffirm our humanity. The humanity which has often been challenged in this society. So as I get older, I feel as if I become more and more loquacious and more long-winded. But that's
you have more wisdom to share. More wisdom to share.
That's the opener. That's the opening. Yeah.
It's not getting old; it's getting wise. So thank you both for that. If I can go a little bit further and ask you, so acknowledging the societal context and Black Lives Matter, particularly in the wake of George Floyd's murder, and looking at lessons we can draw from that, I guess maybe perhaps starting with you, Adrian, just wondering what lessons have been drawn, or you drawing, that are influencing the work that you're performing as a journalist in this particular context. And it'll be the same question for you, Dory, but obviously in terms of influencing your work at OCAD.
Well, I suppose what I would say is that Black Lives Matter is the latest iteration of our struggle. So Black Lives Matter, the struggle is not new, right? The struggle has been going on for a very, very long time, and all kinds of people, people that are known and people who are unknown, have contributed to to that struggle, right? Over centuries. What's changed, obviously, are the actors. right? And so I must say that I've gained a lot of inspiration from looking at the many of the people who've been involved in Black Lives Matter. It has given me, I find it really heartening and gratifying, and it's wonderful to see young people asserting themselves and making space for themselves and alerting the society to the fact that they need to be listened to, and that their humanity must be honored. So I think again, I'm a little bit. I at one point I was younger, and now that in my dotage now, it's always great to see young people and how brilliant these young people are, and how industrious they are, and how resilient and resourceful, and how much imagination they have, and how much courage they have. They give us courage, and they give others courage. We should remember, though, that young people have always been at the forefront of our struggles, right? This is not new. 2020 marked the 60th anniversary of the emergence of SNCC, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, which might have been one of the most important social movements, social organizations of the 20th century, right, in the United States. This was an organization that influenced the women's movement, that influenced the gay and lesbian movement, that influenced the American Indian movement, that influenced all the movements that followed. And it was a youth-led struggle. Yeah. And that's important as well, right? It was a youth-led struggle. We should also remember, we're celebrating Martin Luther King's birthday, a couple of days ago. Martin Luther King was a young man. Right? He was a young man when he helped to lead, and there were many people involved, like many people behind and in front of Martin Luther King. But Martin Luther King was only 26 years old, right? He was a young man. So, we have always had young people leading the way and pushing us forward and urging us to be our best selves and reminding us of the possibilities, right, for transformation. And so again, Black Lives Matter is part of that long history. And that's not just in the United States, right? Young people around the world, throughout the diaspora. If we think about, for example, the struggles of South Africa in the 1970s, those young people who were fighting against Bantu education, right, in South Africa, and many of whom were slaughtered, right, on the streets of Soweto, right? 1960 was also the year of the Sharpeville massacre, right? 60 years. A lot of young people were cut down there as well, right? Struggling for freedom, for liberation, right? So again, young people have always been there, always been at the forefront, always pushing us forward. And it's just wonderful to see another generation taking up that responsibility.
Thank you. Dory, what has this meant for the work of educational institutions such as OCADU?
Well, I think one of the important things about the let's say the revitalization in some ways of a different level of Black Lives Matter and the pandemic is that, the reason why George Floyd and his murder is so prominent in the imaginations of people is that because of the pandemic, everyone had to stand still. Everyone was not busy, occupied with their other aspects of their lives. So they had to pay attention. They paid attention in a way that some people who, again, were able to ignore the issues, some people who weren't aware of the issues, all of a sudden were forced to stop and become aware. So for me, what's I think really important about the moment of this summer, right? The summer of 2020 was that the world responded to the murder of George Floyd in a way that brought alliances and coalition that even when you think of again, the civil rights movement in the 1960s, there was a national movement, right? Or North American movement. And again, all of these struggles are related to each other, right? But what happened this summer was, you had people in Ireland saying Black Lives Matter. You had people in the Middle East saying Black Lives Matter. You had people all around the world saying Black Lives Matter in a way that opened up a lot of possibilities for knowledge, learning, coalition, and moving things forward. In the context of OCAG University, for us, it was a very interesting moment because we had announced our Black cluster hire. So we successfully had a Black cluster hire where we brought in 5 new Black faculty members, addressing the zero representation in design for 144 years. So that literally that week was the same week that we made the announcement. And for us, it meant that it helped us figure out what is our narrative and what is our place in the movement. And we talked about the fact that like all of these institutions are having a reckoning, right, in terms of how they've ignored the fact that Black Lives Matter. They've not built the structures, right, to allow Black people in the Black community to be connected to these institutions and served by these institutions. And so our story became like, you've messed up for a really long time and you have to acknowledge that. So in our statement saying we're addressing 144 years of zero representation, that was us as an institution acknowledging the fact that we had not embraced the Black community and Black lives in the way that we should have. But it also began to tell the story of how you make amends. So this is how you listen. This is how you write a call for participants that is about what the community wants and needs, not just selfishly the skills that the institution wants to bring in and use and exploit and all those things that institutions can do. So for us, the narrative became around like, all of you companies, right, that are making Black squares on your Instagram account, that are making these statements around how you're going to address Black lives and be more inclusive, here's a way forward for you to begin to acknowledge and make amends for the harm and the ignoring and the not listening that you've done for as long as your institution has been existing. And so we had to move forward with that. So I developed a course that we do in continuing studies on hiring for decolonization, diversity, and inclusion to say this is the way forward. These are the steps that you can take. And so we ran that in December, and that was quite successful, working both with large high-tech organizations, but also small businesses to figure out, again, how do you build authentic relationships with community? How do you acknowledge Indigenous demands? How do you do all these things that as an institution, OCAD had been doing before the summer of 2020, but then becomes amplified in that moment of like, again, there is a way forward. And let us show you how we did it. You'll have to do it your own way because your own institution, own history. But there is a possibility to go forward and to do the right thing for and with Black communities. And so that was how we as an institution kind of lived that moment. And with a great care that we had to do for our students. So we had to hold forums where basically for 2 hours, our Black students showed, even with all the work that we're doing, all the ways in which we're failing them, all the ways in which their education is failing them, all the ways in which our support systems is not taking into account the specificity of their lived experiences and how that impacts the way they work, how it impacts the way they build relationships with others in the institution. And so we're still in that process of like learning and responding and growing as an institution, because like, again, in terms of decolonization, like no one knows how to do this. So we have to be generous with ourselves and others around the mistakes that we make, but we also have to make amends, right? That we have to acknowledge our mistakes and make amends. And that for us, I think, is the important point of kind of like the Black Lives Matter movement and the pandemic, is that these are all these institutions. You've made mistakes, you've done harm, you have to acknowledge that and begin to make amends. Don't get frozen by white fragility, don't get frozen by the impossibility of the task. Take concrete steps forward to make amends. And I would say in many of the cases of the corporations that at least I've been working with, that they're trying, they're trying.
If I can just pick up on that, what Dory was saying, I think Black Lives Matter has, obviously been a real catalyst for change, right? And I think the change happens on a number of different levels, right? So the change happens externally, right, in terms of trying to change institutions, but it's also about changing ourselves, right? When we're imagining the kind of world that we want to live in, of course, we're trying to change the spaces in which we live and occupy, but we also have to engage in that process of becoming better people, right? To become more human beings. The Asian American activist Grace Lee Boggs, who I had the great pleasure of meeting on a couple of occasions and interviewing at length, she always used to talk about that, right? About becoming more human beings, right? Enlarging our humanity. One thing that Black Lives Matter, I think, has done is it's given people some courage. Dory talked about the reckoning happening at a place like OCAD. There's been a reckoning happening in Canadian media, and particularly happening at CBC. I can say that 4 years, wow, the time moves, right? We're 2021 already. I was going to say 4 years ago. It wasn't 4 years ago now. It was 5 years ago. So in 2016, there were a number of us who started pushing, right? Started pushing for change within the CBC, and we started pushing for it publicly. Right. And we weren't going to be silenced. We actually went public, whether it was on social media and within the organization. And at the time, there was a tremendous amount of fear, right? There was a tremendous amount of fear within our communities amongst, for example, let's say a lot of Black journalists at CBC, afraid of being sanctioned, afraid of being ostracized, afraid of being able to kind of being able to move up, in the organization. Because they might be deemed to be these ne'er-do-wells, or these renegades or these rebellious people. I can tell you that in 2016, we tried to get people to sign a letter, right, which outlined the contradictions existing within CBC Radio Canada. And it was a very detailed letter, very, very explicit. We sent it to all the senior managers. We sent it to the board of directors. I can remember going to all, some of the most prominent names that at CBC, asking people to sign. Very few people signed. We only had 23 people in the entire organization, right? And we were across the country, 23 people. And many of those people who signed didn't really have a lot of power within the organization, right? They were not the bigwigs. They were not the host of all these programs, and yet they were willing to take that risk at that moment. And it was dangerous at that time to speak up in the way in which they're speaking. Now, fast forward 5 years, I think thanks to things like Black Lives Matter, people are now speaking in ways that they hadn't spoken before, right? And they found their courage, they found their strength, and it's instructive, isn't it? Right? It teaches us something, right? We need other people, right? Other people help us to become our better selves, right? We need those kinds of examples, right? Which can push us forward, right? And when one person takes courage, well, maybe another person can take courage as well. If one person takes a risk, then another person takes a risk, right? It's also demonstrated the importance of developing networks and developing groups of people with whom you can work. And it's not just about allies. I'm always a little bit wary of this term allyship, right? Because I think there's a role for it, but I prefer comrades, right? Yeah. I want comrades, right? I want people who are willing to go into the fray with me, and I'm with them. We are together. We both have something to gain and we both have something to lose, and we're willing to potentially jeopardize something, right? By getting involved, by getting engaged. Right. And I think that finally, that's happening more and more. So that's been really gratifying. That's been really inspiring. And I think we have Black Lives Matter to thank, right, for a lot of the actions that people are taking in various spaces.
Well, I don't think we're going to have enough time to cover everything that I actually want to ask you coming out of what you've said, but I'll do my best to get at a couple of things that you've brought forward that I want to dig into a little bit more. I think there are many linkages that can be drawn between your world, so the CBC, OCAD-U, and the Federal Public Service. So To some extent, we're a vehicle for information exchange. We're a vehicle for educating. We serve the public, Canadian society. Adrian, I'd like to go back on what you talked about the youth. And as I was doing some research prior to this, I know you're a very strong proponent for intergenerational engagement. And you're working towards joining, and I'll quote you, the skills, industriousness, and ideas of our young, and guided by the experience of those who have been there before. I'm wondering why you think that's so important, and where you see the benefit of this value and this approach in terms of our efforts as a federal public service to become more equitable, diverse, and inclusive.
Well, I suppose I'd start with this. Like, we will not have a future if young people are not included. In these, like, it's just not possible. And you think about yourself, Natalie, or think about yourself, Dory. I think about myself. I think about how I've gotten to here. What's been my journey to here, and well, I've gotten here because people have sacrificed for me. I've gotten here because people were willing at key points in my life to pull me aside and to intervene, right? And to help me out. I can think even, for example, within the CBC, there was a time at the CBC when I was kind of getting a little bit discouraged, and I wasn't making as much of an effort maybe as I should have been, right? I was maybe becoming a little bit complacent and a little bit satisfied. And an older head pulled me aside and kind of, pulled me up, encouraged me and criticized me, made me accountable, right? And pushed me forward. And had that person not intervened, had that person not cared about me, had that person not loved me, right, in the way in which he did, right? He loved me. That's why he did it. Right? Had he not made that step, then I might not be here right now. Right. So I think we need to be, like, mentorship is so key, I think, in all of our organizations. Right. And we all need to be taking the long view. Like, we're only here for a short period of time. Right. Like, 15 years, I'm supposed to be retired. Right. But the thing is, I'm still a citizen. I'm still living here, and we depend on each other. I want the young people coming behind me to have the skills and to have maybe some of the things that I've learned passed on to them, right? So that they can create a society in which we are, we can live with dignity. All of us deserve to live with dignity, but we have to learn how to do it, right? And there are a lot of learnings, there are a lot of lessons that we can learn from the different generations. Sorry, my phone now is, my camera. Oh, sorry about that.
There is.
Sorry about that. So I think that, I think that's really, 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 really important. Very, very quickly, I think it's always important for young people to recognize the limits and the possibilities of things, right? So, for example, journalism has all kinds of possibilities, right? But it also has limitations, and journalism has done much to free people, and it's created space for people. But as Dory was saying with design, it's also damaged people. It's also caused a lot of harm, right? And so we need to figure out how to repair and how to reform journalism or design or whatever the case might be, or the public service, right? In a way that honors all of us, right? In a way that contributes to, what Candace Collison, the Indigenous scholar who wrote, I think, one of the best books on journalism in the last year. It's called Reckoning. She teaches at UBC, and she talks about this idea of good relations, right? This good relations that, or Snick would have talked about the beloved community, right? But we're trying to create these spaces where our humanity is honored, and so we need to know the history of these institutions, what they have done, and how we can maybe move in a different direction in the future.
Great. Thank you. Dory, I'm going to dig into a little bit this notion of respectful design. And you've said, again, in what I've read, that the ethos in design at OCAD is respectful design, and that you chose respect in that in many Indigenous cultures, it's one of the key principles for being in the world. It brings about humility, openness, and really understanding our relationship to others, but also the natural world. And so understanding how this philosophy has informed, I guess, your efforts to decolonize design. Again, what lessons can we draw as a public service, whereby our mandate is to design policies, programs to deliver services. So any lessons that we can draw from your experience around respectful design?
Well, it's really interesting because we have an initiative that we're doing right now called It's My Future Toronto. So working with community organizations to recruit 8 to 12-year-old BIPOC youth, Black, Indigenous, and POC youth. And the process that they go through is that there's a design process where we walk them through the process of like how to imagine problems that they have, how to imagine the solutions that they have to those problems, and then how to connect them in 3 particular ways, which is ironic given this kind of panel discussion. So one area of connection is with policy. And so we recruited a bunch of we have our strategic foresight and innovation program. There's a lot of policy that gets done in that particular program. So we recruited some former students who are working in both federal as well as local government. We recruited a bunch of MPs and others to talk about actually what policy is and how it allows you to make a difference for community. And so we've done these short 5-minute videos of like, what is policy? How do you talk to a variety of people to figure out what it's going to do? How do you amplify the voices, right? So that government can hear you, and how you can get directly involved. And we've done the same for journalism. So we worked with the Globe and Mail to, again, do a short video of like how journalism has harmed BIPOC communities. Then how do you write a story? How do you do a video story? How do you do photography? How do you then put it all together in an editing process? And so this week we're doing the design, this Saturday, we're doing the design workshop where you do the imagine, make, and connect. So to get the ideas. And then next week we're doing the workshop with the Globe and Mail around journalism. So Adrienne, I'm going to be connecting with you in a moment to participate in that. And then in the other areas, advertising, right? Which is like, again, how do you persuade people to change, right? How do you get them to change their ideals? How do you get them to change their actions? How do you get them to respond to a call to action? And so we're doing that workshop with the youth in March with the idea of the call to action is to raise funding to be able to fund the ideals actually that the young people are proposing as fresh ideas of how we could respond in Toronto to, again, the legacy and current practices of racism, and how we can also respond to the conditions of the COVID pandemic, right? COVID-19 pandemic. So for us, it's a thing where that for us is respectful design. How do we take these young people? And we chose 8 to 12-year-olds because they are the ones who tend to get ignored. It's like, they're not kids, they're not teens. They're, psychologically, they're the most open, like they're the age where all the sense of the constraints are not completely there yet, right? Like they're still open to the possibilities. They're still open in their imagination. So if we can build that confidence and their ability to, again, imagine, make, and connect to the most powerful institutions that affect their lives, connect to government, understand what a policy is, understand who your politicians are, and get their phone number so that you can call them and feel confident in calling them and sharing your ideas, right? How do you connect to, again, the world of design, which makes everything in the world is design. So if you doing it with the thoughtfulness of what your ideals of what the world will be, that's how you change the world. How do you, again, connect to the world of journalism, which tells, again, the stories of representation of what are the issues and what matters. If you, at the age of 8 to 12-year-olds, feel that you have access to the power of those institutions. You have access to the people who are in those institutions, and those people look like you, right? That they're Black, Indigenous, and POC, because that's what we made sure all the videos featured, is all these profiles of people who are already doing the work. Then in some ways you build that respect at a really early age for difference and culture and your perspectives and other people's perspectives, and being able to share in that. Again, we're coming from this perspective of Indigenous all my relations, right? That notion of all my relations. So you don't just have to pay attention to other people, you have to pay attention to the land and what buildings might be on the land and what infrastructure is in the land, and what is your relationship to the water and the air and all those things that affect you in every day. And so giving young people the confidence to feel that they can make that positive difference to themselves, to their families, to their communities that they care about and are a part of, that for us is what respectful design is about. And that's the work of government in many ways, is to amplify that voice, to provide the resources, the structures, the policies, all of those things to help make these young people's ideas around a more just world, around a more fair world, around a more sustainable world, real and tangible and more expansive, right? Outside of what's happening in their communities. So, and that's just the ethos of respectful design is, again, we design everything in the world. We design policy, we design a story, we design, an object, we design a building. If you give young people, and this expansive sense of young people, again, that confidence that they can do that, then they'll come with the respect, they'll come with a sense of connectivity, and they'll come with a real desire and ability to change the world in ways that it's with them and for them. And that's what we're trying to kind of cultivate through the work that we're doing. So the project is It's My Future Toronto. It's actually literally in the middle of it right now. But we hope to be able to, if it's successful, be really able to expand it all over Canada.
And that was so beautifully put, Dory. And the one thing, you probably said it, but the one thing I would just want to emphasize is it's so important for our young people to know that, to believe that they can take up space in the society, right? And that they belong in these institutions. They have a right to be here, right? And it's so important that they recognize that as citizens, they can, they deserve to be everywhere their peers are. Mm-hmm. So wherever you are, I deserve to be too, right? And just because I have, I'm of this particular gender, or I'm of this particular race, or I'm of this particular ethnicity, right? Or I'm this particular, whatever the case might be, you are a full citizen of this society, right? So you deserve to be here. Take up that space.
Very well said. Thank you to both of you. So for the past several months, public servants have been at all levels engaging in these very important conversations around equity, diversity, and inclusion. And having participated in many of those, I've noticed that there's some recurring questions that keep coming back. And so I'd like to respectfully take advantage of the fact that you're here to maybe get your perspective as non-public servants on one of them, if I may. And it's to come back to this notion of power and power dynamics. Similar to many institutions, I mean, here in the public service, we have structures, we have hierarchy, we all have a boss. And so in the spirit of allyship and when you see something, you need to do something, how do you speak up or call someone out on these issues when they have more power than you? Any advice for public service? Go ahead, Dory, and go ahead.
So I get this question all the time in one way or another, right? Because everyone's like, well, yeah, Dory, you're the dean, you're the boss. So of course, if you make something, you can make something happen, right? And that to me, I think, speaking to Adrian's first comment, like that is why it's really important to have, like BIPOC people in power, right? Because again, I know I have power because if I say no to something, it will not happen, right? In the institution, right? But I always get the question is like, but I'm not a dean of an institution. So how do I have impact? How I make things move? And the thing I always suggest to them is there's a book that I live by, which is called A Tempered Radical. It's by Deborah Meyerson. And what they talk about is that how the book is about how people make change in institutions, kind of almost like in stealth mode. Because if you come in an institution in some ways and you're like, I'm going to totally just transform you, and you're not in a position of power, then the tendency of an institution is to protect the status quo. It almost can't help itself by doing so. But if you come into an institution and you begin to build a network of relationships all throughout the institution, right? And that's just having those conversations, meeting people to find out who in the institution shares your ideas. And then you can come as a group, right? And begin to present these ideals to various kind of influencers and powerful stakeholders within the institution. And so that what happens is that through these kind of like incremental setting up the scaffolding of the ideas and the networks of people and the ideals who can embrace that when you're ready for the change to happen, then it'll flow through the institution. Everyone will think it's like a revolution, like it'll flow overnight, right? But they don't know that you've spent 2 years, 3 years, like 4 years building up to that possibility. So for, like the Black cluster hire, I wasn't able to, I would not have been able to achieve that walking into OCAD University. Now I told them that's what I wanted to do, but it took me 4 years to build the relationships, the networks, to get the data from all of the different aspects of the institutions, to do the training around anti-racism and anti-oppression, so that when we brought these individuals in the institution, they would be understood and welcomed as to why we do that. So it took 4 years of kind of these incremental changes to be able to make what seemed like a revolutionary change happen. So I say that to say that when you are not in a position of power, your role is to, for every decision that you have to make, to figure out how this decision, how can I decolonize? How can I make sure this decision is protecting the most vulnerable? How can I use this? How this decision can contribute to sort of, anti-oppression and anti-racism? Because you do have power over that domain of decision-making that the institution gives you. And I talk to my students and say, if the only thing you're doing is being able to choose an image on a website or whatever, then choose the image that actually contributes to decolonization, anti-racism, anti-oppression, because that's the change happens by these small incremental decisions that everyone in the institution makes to do better, to do differently. But you have to build those networks and relationships so that I know this person is making this decision, which is linked to the decision I'm making here. And through the collectivity of all of those decisions, we can go to the powerful stakeholder decision maker and say, this is what we've been doing. This is what the impact is. We would like to be able to do more. So help us change the structures of the institution so we can cascade these possibilities throughout. And so everyone has a responsibility for those small domains of decision-making and power that they have in the institution.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Adrian.
Dory said so much there. There's hardly anything I can add. The only thing I would say is that, I've always liked that idea of revolution not being instant. Revolution is not instant coffee. I've always liked that idea, right? Revolution is not instant coffee, meaning that it takes time for things to change, right? As Dory was saying, and it takes consistency, it takes discipline, right? It takes organization. Organization is key. Things don't happen usually by spontaneous generation, right? It takes struggle, and it takes sweat, and it takes tears, and sometimes you go backwards, right? And sometimes you go forwards, right? But the idea is that you keep on keeping on, right? That's really important. The other quick thing I will say, and I'm fearing that my technology is going to fail very soon, so I'm just alerting you to that. But it's also important for us to realize that sometimes we do have to take risks, right? And it's scary, right? It's scary when you don't know what's going to happen on the other side. But you have to decide for yourself, how far you're willing to go, right? And sometimes it might mean that you have to leave the organization, right? There's some organizations are organic, right? And it might be the case sometimes that an organization needs to die. And then we need to start something new. We need to kind of reimagine another kind of space, right? Or different ways of acting, right? So that is a possibility. Anyway, I feel my technology is about to go. I'm gonna. So my comment will be a bit truncated. I'm gonna end it there.
Thank you so much, Adrian. I'm also noticing that we are running out of time, actually, and so. Honestly, I just want to take a moment to really, on behalf of the school, I should say I could be here for hours. I don't know about you, but we'll have to have you back again at some point. But really, on behalf of the school, I really want to thank you both, Dory and Adrian, for spending this time with us and sharing your perspectives. Personally, I just want to say how humbled and grateful I am to be sharing this space with you, as you talked about enlarging our humanity, I would say, is one of the key pieces I take away from our discussion today, and being with you today to really celebrate and recognize your accomplishments as Black Canadians. So thank you so much. I'll also take the opportunity to thank the virtual participants who are joining us for the event today, and hope that they found this valuable and rich with takeaways. For those participants, just a reminder to please send us your feedback. You'll be receiving an evaluation form. We'd like you to complete it as soon as you receive it. Your feedback is really important to us. And also to invite everyone to continue to visit the school to look at other events throughout the month of February that we're going to be bringing to you to celebrate Black History Month, and the next one being actually on February the 10th, in which we're partnering with the Federal Black Employee Caucus. So visit our website, follow us on Twitter, sign up to our newsletter to find out what's coming. So with that, once again, thank you, Adrian, Dory, and everyone, and à la prochaine. Thanks.
Can I very quickly say something?
Yes.
I would be remiss, Natalie, if I didn't thank you and your team for the leadership that you're demonstrating, and also providing a space to have this kind of conversation, this kind of exchange. We need more of this, and so thank you for the initiative, and also thank you for allowing me to meet Dory Tunstall. What a delight! What a delight!
You're welcome.
I only know her virtually. I've been watching her presentations on YouTube and the like. So it's nice to actually meet her. So thank you for giving me that opportunity.
Well, thank you, the same here. And thank you, Natalie. Again, great moderation and great questions and prompting. So thank you for that. And Adrian, I'm sending you an email as soon as we're done.
We'll be in touch. We'll be in touch.
Great.
Looking forward to it.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of the day. Thank you again.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye.